Hello, today we will be talking about second conditional. To understand second conditional, we must understand what conditional means. Conditional means hypothetical, meaning we don't know when a certain situation will happen. If we don't know when a certain situation will happen, then we have to guess the outcome. Okay, now we must know, when do we use second conditional? In which type of situations do we use second conditional? We can use second conditional in two different types of outcomes, either in unlikely outcomes or impossible outcomes. Unlikely outcomes meaning outcomes that have a low percentage of happening, and impossible outcomes meaning outcomes that can't happen at all. So, if a certain outcome can't happen, then most likely the condition meeting that outcome can also not happen. Now let us take some examples about unlikely situations. For example, if I won the lottery, I would buy a tropical island. Winning the lottery is an unlikely situation because it has a small percentage of happening in the future. Because we have an unlikely condition, so buying the tropical island would also be an unlikely outcome in this situation. In this example, we can understand that unlikely situations have a small percentage of happening. Now, let us take an example about impossible situations. For example, if I had wings, I would fly up to the stars. If I had wings is an impossible condition. So, meaning flying up to the stars is an impossible outcome. Now, we know the difference between an unlikely situation and an impossible situation. An unlikely situation meaning it can happen but most likely won't happen, and an impossible situation meaning something that can't happen at all. Now, let us take a look at the type of sentence patterns in second conditional. We have two types of sentence patterns in second conditional. The first type is if plus past, and the second type is would plus verb. Now, here we are going to only be using present or future meaning. So only stuff that are going to happen in the present or are going to happen in the near future. And we must use a comma in this type of pattern. Also, the type of past tense used in this pattern is past simple tense. Now, let us take some examples about the first pattern. For example, if we said, if I were the leader of this country, I would make many changes. So here we can understand that the comma happened after the if plus past sentence. And the comma is a very important aspect because if you do not put this comma here, this sentence would be wrong. But if we take the second pattern, we will understand that there is no comma. The second pattern in second conditional is would plus verb and if plus past. Now, here in this pattern, we do not use a comma. You cannot use a comma in this pattern, in the second type of pattern in second conditional. So if we took the same sentence, we would say, I would make many changes if I were the leader of this country. This is the same sentence, but reversed. If we look at the first sentence, we said, if I were the leader of this country, I would make many changes. But in the second example, we reversed it. Also, we can change were to was. So we could say, if I was the leader of this country, I would make many changes. And we can also change the pronouns. We can make it he, she, they. It can change. So now we understand the difference between the first pattern and the second pattern. And there are only two kinds of patterns in second conditional. We have to keep that in mind. We also have to keep in mind the comma, which comes only in the first pattern. Now let us take a look at some examples to take a better understanding of second conditional. For example, we could say, if you became the CEO of the company, you would make a lot more money. We can see here that we have the comma because this is the first pattern. Now, let us take a second example. Now, let us take the second example. For example, if our teacher gave us the answers, we wouldn't learn anything. This is also the first pattern, but it's in a negative form. There's a comma after the would plus verb. Now, let us take the third example. If I lived on the moon, I would have a great view of the earth. This is an impossible outcome. We have an impossible condition. We could never live on the moon. Therefore, we have an impossible outcome of never having a great view of the earth. The fourth example. They would have money to travel if they sold their house. Here we can see that there is no comma. It is the second pattern of second conditional where the sentence is reversed and the would come plus verb comes first. Now let us take the fifth example. We would be very surprised if a celebrity came to our small hometown. Now here it is also an unlikely situation. It's not an impossible situation. Now, let us take the last example of second conditional. I'd stop eating junk food if my doctor told me to. From this example, we can notice that there is no comma, meaning it had the second pattern of the second conditional. Now, let us take some practice questions to test our knowledge. Okay, so I want you to say or write the answers on a piece of paper or just say them out loud. Obviously, all these examples will be using second conditional. Let us take the first example. So, if we said, if the children ate all the candy, they blank sick. Now, here we have the first pattern. So we would say, if the children ate all the candy, they would feel sick. Okay. Now, I want you to try the second example by yourself. Now we can notice from this sentence that it's the first pattern and it's also an impossible situation. So the answer would be, if I were a dog, I would sleep and eat all day long. In this example, we notice that it's the second pattern and it would be, I would spend more time with my family if I didn't work so much. In this example, it's also the second pattern without a comma, and the answer would be, she would buy a new car if she had $1 million. So would I. This example, it is the first pattern because we have a comma and the if clause came first, and the answer would be, I would take piano lessons. Now, let us take another example. We would say he would surf every day if he lived near a beach. I want to thank all of you for listening, and I hope you found this very helpful, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.